So in this session, we'll be discussing the third chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Till now, we have discussed the first and second chapter. And initially in first 2-3 slides, we will take a recap of what we have discussed till now, and then we will go forward in our discussion. So this is the first slide. The chapter 3 is basically about Karma Yoga. So it is very important chapter for all of us because karma we all are doing as professionals. We have working duties to perform and what we know as karma. So we all are doing karma. So how to do that karma properly according to the way Bhagavad Gita tells us to do. So we all know that actually Bhagavad Gita is part of Mahabharata, and the Bhishma Parva of Mahabharata contains Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is just like people have described it as a necklace made up of gold with so many jewels in it, because each shloka of Bhagavad Gita is actually like some pearl or some emerald or some other precious stone which gives us so many teachings for our life which we can follow. So till now what we have discussed about these teachings in the first chapter, what we discussed can be summarized in with a word, doubt. D means we discussed about what was the mentality of Duryodhana and Dhritarashtra. O was the ominous result of the war which was to happen. U is the uncertainty which was there in the life of Arjuna after seeing all the army and relatives assembled in the battlefield. B was the bewilderment which he undergone. And T was the turning point when he decides that I will not fight. The most prominent hero and warrior of the army decides not to fight. Then we discussed last session the second chapter, which can be summarized with the acronym Gita, Gita. We discussed that Arjuna finally in 2.7 shloka, he surrenders to Krishna and he accepts him as his guru. So there is now role reversal. Initially they were friends. Now Krishna is actually doing duty as a guru. As a guru, we discussed that a bona fide guru should first and foremost tell his shishya his real identity. So that was the first part where he gives Atmagyan. Then he teaches the two duties which are very important for everyone to follow, what we discussed in the form of Swadharma and Nitya Dharma. The Swadharma is something which has been given to us by society, and Nitya Dharma is our eternal actually religion or dharma, that is to serve God. Now we discuss that somehow we have to make balance between our Swadharma and Nitya Dharma. And the person who can do that is known as Atmaram, someone who is actually established in his real identity. He understands that as level of society, he has to do many duties, and at the level of soul, he has to do his eternal duty also. Now, how to do these duties is the point which we will be discussing today, what we call as Karma Yoga. So what has happened? Arjuna is refusing to perform his Kshatriya Dharma, and Lord is very much disturbed because of that, and he wants to preach him. So actually, like we know that second chapter is summary of whole Bhagavad Gita, and ideally Bhagavad Gita would have completed in second chapter itself because everything is there in second chapter. But there are so many finer nuances which have not been discussed in second chapter. There are finer points about how to do our duties. So now in rest of these chapters which we'll be going to discuss, Lord will actually describe all these 5 points in detail. Bhagavad Gita basically talks about these 5 points. What are these 5 topics? One is Ishvara or God. Second is Jiva or the living entities. Third is Prakriti, all this what we see around us. Another point is Kal or time. And one more aspect is karma or actions. So these Jeev, Prakriti, Kal, Karma in relation to God. Now today what Lord is going to tell us is about karma. Now karma, very specifically, one should understand that one important point about karma is Gahano Karmana Gati. Gahano means very deep. The karma is very deep. It is not easy to understand. But one thing which we will be again and again discussing and trying to bring forth in our discussions is this aspect that Prakriti, Jeev, Kal, and Karma, everything has to be. Just a minute. There is some lag in the what I'm showing is not being seen in the screen. Just give me a minute. Can you see now? Yes. So what we discussed till now is that Lord is trying to actually explain to Arjuna that everything, whatever you are doing, whether as a jiva, whatever you are doing, falls into prerogative of all these three things. Whatever action we do is known as karma. We do our action with the help of Prakriti or the resources around us. And what we have to do, we have to do it under a stipulated time, what we known as kal or time. Now, again and again, we'll be discussing and trying to understand through Bhagavad Gita that actually Jeev, Prakriti, Kal, and Karma, everything belongs to Lord Himself, and everything emanates from Him, and everything should be used in His service. Whenever we are using it in service of Lord, then it is known as proper karma. So, first and foremost, Arjun is still confused. So he asks whether it is better to be renounce everything or he should do his activity as a Kshatriya. So this is the basic theme of Bhagavad Gita. If you read Bhagavad Gita, this theme will be continuous throughout the Bhagavad Gita that what should one do? Should one leave everything, renounce, become a renunciate, an ascetic, or should one do his duties? So this question occurs to us also many times when we are frustrated in life that I should leave everything, I should go to Himalayas. But what Lord wants to tell us, this is how Lord wants to explain us. So Arjun initially asks questions in first two shlokas, and he says that what should I do, Janardhan? Janardhan is name of Krishna. Why you are engaging me in this ghastly warfare? And whatever you are telling me, I am not able to understand. So second chapter is very compact and too many themes are running, and actually they are not very clear in first instance. So same is happening to Arjuna also. He is also not clear whether everything what Krishna is telling is of some relevance or not. So Arjun asked to clarify, and what he's asking to clarify, whether he should become a jnani, a yogi, and leave everything, or he should become a karmi and he should work. Now this is very important point, that is it that Lord wants to confuse us? That's why all the scriptures of any religion, they are so much difficult to understand. No, actually all the scriptures in world, they have multi-level message. So what is multi-level message? Many times a single spelling or word may have many meanings. Like ring may mean a ring of a phone, or ring may mean something what we wear on our fingers. Same is with wave and waves. Wave means waving your hand, or wave means the waves of the ocean. So same way in Sanskrit and in any ancient language in which scriptures are prepared, these languages are very codified sentences, and we need someone who can make us understand this framework in which thinking is going on. So why we get confused, this we discussed in the first session. Why we get confused? Because our input mechanisms are different. They are not actually faultless. So whatever we see, we want to believe, but we always have tendency to commit mistakes because of our imperfect sentence. When our senses are imperfect, what we do, we try to understand things and thinking that why we have completely understood them, but actually it is not the reality. Reality is something very different. So many times we try to make some what we call as anuman praman. Anuman means we see something and we try to make sense out of it. We all know since our childhood that story of 4 or 5 blind men who are trying to make sense of an elephant, and somebody holding the trunk and thinking that it is a snake. So same is happening to all of us also. So how to come out of this confusion? The only way to come out of this confusion is to become follower of what we call as Shabda Praman. The scriptures actually give us that word of authority because the scriptures are beyond all this confusions. Now, the confusion of Arjuna is that whether I should leave or I should live. This confusion happens to us also many times, like we discuss. Why this confusion again happens to us? Because something we have to understand is religion and philosophy both should go hand in hand. If we remove philosophy from religion, what remains in religion is just some sentiments or fanaticism. And if we remove religion from philosophy, what remains is just mental speculation. So if I just sit here and try to make some speculations about who is God, it is just my mental speculation. It has no authority to it, whatever I am trying to say. Same way, in religion, if we remove the philosophy, then what remains is just a blind following. We should try to avoid both of these things. Lord Krishna wants us that we should have religion also and philosophy also. When we have both the backings, we know the religion also and we know the philosophy also. Nowadays, what is happening in all the mainstream religion, organized religion, this is very big issue. The so-called aggressive followers, they are just following it blindly. They don't know the philosophy. And so-called philosophers who actually know the uh, deep tenets of religion, they are not speaking up or they are not heard. So what is happening? Either we see fanaticism in the name of religion, and that's why people who are educated, who are logical minded, they don't want to go to temples. They don't want to follow such mainstream rituals because they think that, oh, it doesn't make any sense to me. And it is very true also. But then what is the way out? Way out is very simple. We have to follow some rituals, religions, and also we have to develop understanding about it. And when we do this way, we are following some religious rituals also, but we have understanding of why we are doing it. That is what we call as proper karma. So in section 1, the initial 2 shlokas, what has happened? Arjun asked the question that what is better? Should I be situated in knowledge and go to Himalayas as renunciate, or should I work? And are these two things opposite? So how Lord starts answering? Lord initially says that, oh, the best part is that you become a Nishkam Karma Yogi. Now, what is Nishkam Karma? Lord is explaining that yes, as a Kshatriya, as a warrior, or as a householder, you have to do some duties. But do your duties without any attachment to the results. When we do our duties without attaching to results, this is known as Nishkam Karma Yoga. Why Lord is actually saying to do Nishkam Karma Yoga is a very philosophical backing to it. And what is that backing? See, Lord says that we all have to work. Even if you go to Himalayas, you will have to work because not for a second we can sit idle. Lord says that nahi kaschit kshanam api jatu tishyati karmakrit. Means ki on even for a second, you cannot just sit idle and say that I am not working. Because even if your body is not working, your senses are working. Even if your senses are not working, your mind is working. Even if you controlled your mind, still your soul is active. That already Lord is explained in second chapter. So even for a second, we cannot live without work. So everybody has to work. And if everybody has to work, then one has to understand how to work. So how to work? Then Lord says that most important thing while working is that if you say that I have become a renunciate and I want to leave everything, and physically you leave everything, but your mind is still dwelling in it, then you are just actually working like a fake person. What Lord says is mithyachara sa uchyate. So what is happening? Even if you are not working, but your mind is actually attached to all the working, still you are mithyachari. And mithyachari means you are a pretender. You are just pretending that you are a big renunciate. And this we see all around us nowadays. There are so many false gurus who pretend that they will or have renounced the world. They are not interested in anything. And then some controversy occurs, and then they are caught doing something which was wrong. Why it is happening? Externally, they have renunciated, but internally, they are still contemplating on the same things. So, these all technically are called as mithyacharis or pretenders or false gurus. So, Arjuna should not become a false guru. That's why Krishna is saying that you are a Kshatriya, you should fight. You should not become a false guru. And whenever Lord comes to actually collect all these false gurus and put them into dustbin. So in any religion, whenever we see that some person is being caught red-handed doing something which was actually morally, ethically wrong, the reason was that he was not following the religious tenets. So people, what they do, because they were a follower of some particular person, and when he is not living life up to the standard of a moralist or a religionist, what they have said, what happens? Not only they leave that religion, they leave that guru also. But what was should be the ideal way? Ideal way is that okay, this guru is wrong, but religion is right. Okay, this particular person is wrong, but process is right. So this proper understanding should be there. We should not leave religion because of this sentiment that okay, I am attached to that particular person and he is false, so religion is false or the scriptures are false. Actually, religion or scriptures are true. That particular person is false and he should be punished for his actions. This is clearly given in all the scriptures of the world. So what is important? Now you don't have to leave your work. What you have to do? Niyatam kuru karma, tva karma jayo hakarmana. So do your prescribed duty. So again, Lord Krishna is forcing this point on Arjuna that you should do your niyat duty. Niyat duty means what have been prescribed to you by the society. And as a Kshatriya, what is your duty? To fight. So what you should do? You should fight. And how he is explaining it? See, if you do your proper duties, then gradually you will purify yourself. If you don't do your proper duties, then you will be falsely renouncing, but in mind you will be still contemplating and you will fall down and you will be a pretender. So you should not become a pretender. Now, what is prescribed duty? We have to understand the next point. The prescribed duty is yagyartha karmano anyatra loko anya karma bandhana. So prescribed duty is to work for Vishnu. Yagyo ve Vishnu. If you work for Vishnu, that is the prescribed duty. So now what all Lord Krishna has explained till 9th shloka, he has answered the question of Arjuna that whether I should leave this world or I should fight. And how he has answered? He has said that you should live in this world and follow all the duties, but in a Nishkam Karma Yogi way. Means you don't have to be attached to the results. You should do all your duties in a detached format. But then prescribed duties can come in many formats. And one of the way of doing prescribed duty is what Lord Krishna is going to explain now. So how we can work for Krishna or Lord and not for ourselves, this Lord will explain in next part. So what we have to do, we all want that, we want to be happy and we want that finally we should be liberated from this place. How we can do that? This is a very scientific aspect of Bhagavad Gita. What Lord Krishna going to explain is that, see, you need something to eat, you need grains to eat. Then Arjuna will say, yes, I need grains, then only I can survive. So from where these grains come? Then answer comes that from rains, the grains come. Okay, so rain depend on what? So Lord gives a very important point in it. Rain on not only depends on this water cycle, how it goes, or trees or mountains, or humidity or precipitation. Rain also depends upon people who are doing their prescribed duties or not. Now, these prescribed duty, how we will understand? These prescribed duties are given in the most ancient scripture of the world. They are known as Vedas. And from where the Vedas come? The Vedas come from the Supreme Lord. All this cycle is known as Yagya Chakra. And this Yagya Chakra is very important to understand for all of us. Because we all know that food grains are there. We all know that rains are there. We all know that rains actually come from the prescribed duty, and those prescribed duties are given in Vedas. So very intelligently, what Lord is doing is, from something what we know and every day we do, from there he is bringing us to the final knowledge that how actually this whole world is running in a cosmic system, a cosmic cycles. And these 6 steps can help us to understand what is God. So here comes the concept of Devi Varnashram Dharma. Devi Varnashram Dharma means in a society, there should be 4 divisions, and these divisions are not based on somebody's birth. These divisions are based on his psychophysical nature, his aptitude. So somebody who has aptitude for knowledge, he can behave like a preacher who can teach others. Somebody who has a psychophysical nature that he can defend, he should become a Kshatriya. Somebody who likes to do business should become a Vaishya. And somebody who can serve all the 3 of sections of this society, they become the Shudras or the workers. Now here it is not that Shudras will be exploited by the Kshatriya and Vaishyas. It is not that Shudra's son will be a Shudra always. It is just a choice which person has made. Like in any society, like even if you go to America, there are people who are administrators. There are people who are professors and teachers. There are people who are management and business people. There are people who are in service sector. So again, in any society, you will find this type of division. And why this Devi Varnashram Dharma system is there? Because gradually each one of them, whether he is a Kshatriya, Vaishya, Brahman or Shudra, if he performs his duty properly, what will happen? Slowly and gradually he will reach up to that level, what we know as the perfection of life, that is liberation. So why this slow gradual process is given? This gradual process is given because not everybody is inclined to follow the process very strictly. Everybody has his own psychophysical choices, what he makes in his life. And that's why sometime it may happen that somebody would like to enjoy his life also, and meanwhile do something for his next life also. And that is the role of Karma Kand. So Karma Kand is what? Like you want to feed a bitter medicine to a small kid. He will not take it because he knows that it is not tasting good. Then what you can do? What you can do is this. You can give him a choice that if you take this ice cream, we will give you this bitter medicine, then maybe some kids, they will agree to this proposal and they will say, okay, we will take this medicine, bitter medicine, and if we get a ball of ice cream. But a better way of doing it would be to confuse him. Like here you can see in this picture, we are actually feeding him the medicine. What he child is thinking that he is taking Pepsi. So this is the purpose of Karm Kanda. What Karm Kanda is doing, that gradually when he thinks that, okay, grains come from rain, rain come from Vedas, if I follow my duty, then what is happening? Slowly he is coming to Vedas, he is coming to that knowledge. And once he has that connection with the knowledge and faith in it, he will start following it sometimes, and slowly and gradually someday he will also understand the real purpose of it. So in all religions of the world, there is some aspect of Karma Kanda is there. It is not that it is only in Sanatan Dharma or Hinduism. That Karma Kanda aspect is everywhere, where they will promise some heavenly facilities to person who is following it. The purpose is not that heavenly facility. Purpose is to develop faith in that particular process. So many times we hear that if you go to that temple, this disease will be cured. If you go to the follow this process, you will become happy. Why we are saying? Because anyone and everyone wants to be happy, and if you want to remain happy, and if we say that you follow this process, you will become happy, that ways you develop faith in that process. And someday you will ask, actually, what is the right purpose of this process? And then you will follow it more diligently. So this is what we have to understand. The purpose of Karma Kand is actually to purify our heart, so that gradually that medicine which we find right now bitter of regulative principles, that becomes easy for us to digest. So what is the best way in this Kali Yuga to follow process of yajna? The best process of yajna is to do a mantra meditation. When we do mantra meditation, then we develop cleansing of our heart, and slowly we rise above the ladder. So till now, what Lord has explained to Arjuna are these rungs of yoga ladder. This is known as yoga ladder. This is a recurring theme in Bhagavad Gita. We'll be again discussing in subsequent sessions also, that Lord started with Karma Yoga, and he told him that best way is to do Nishkam Karma Yoga. Then he took him one step above, and now he will tell him about the Gyan Yoga, and the topmost rung is the Bhakti Yoga. And even before rising to this first rung of Karma Yoga is Karma Kand. So what Karma Kand is doing? Karma Kand is developing our faith in the scriptures, our faith in Shabda Praman. And when we develop that faith in Shabda Praman, then someday we will think that, okay, Karma Kand, what maximum it can give to me? So Karma Kand maximum can elevate me to heavenly planets. But then someday when all my pious activities will finish, I will have to come back to this earth. So then you will think, is there any process by which if we follow, I don't have to come back to this Dukkhalayama Shashvatam again? And then when you ask that question, then answer will come, yes, there is a process, what we call as Karma Yoga. Then you will ask question that doing a Nishkam Karma is very difficult. Is there any other way I can improve myself? Bole, yes. What you can do is develop some knowledge about this process. And when you develop knowledge about the process, you will understand one day that best way is to do Bhakti Yoga, because it is the easiest way. I don't have to take all these rungs of the ladder. What I can do is I can take a straight away elevator. So Bhakti Yoga is like a elevator. But then Arjuna may say to Krishna that I don't need all this. I have been through all the process. And right now I think that I am ripe enough that I should renunciate everything. So Arjuna may ask that why should I need to perform my prescribed duties? So now comes the most important part of this chapter for all the professionals. And what is that? This question should arise in our mind also. Why should I need to perform my prescribed duty as a doctor, as a surgeon, or as a engineer, or as a CA? Why should I need to perform my duty when I understood that final thing is to serve God? Then why not do it directly? Then Lord will answer this very beautifully in the third section, and fourth section of this chapter. And what is that? Lord tells us that yad yad acharati shreshta tad tad eve tarojana yad tat pramanam kurte lokastad anuvartate. So why should one do his duty? To become a role model. Yad yad acharati shreshta. Shreshta means the people who are good, the cream of society. The way they behave, the jana, the normal public, they will follow. So what we have to do? We have to do our prescribed duty because we are role model for someone. Now, if we talk about role models nowadays, who are our role models? Most of us don't have faith in any religious systems and organizations because they are corrupted. And because they are corrupted and we don't have faith, what we do? We we want some role model in our life. So we look up to scientists, we look up to people who are influential in society, who are actually in limelight, like a sports person, the media persons. So what we are doing actually, what we are doing is we are trying to find our role model somewhere else, because religious role models are actually not there. They are not living up to the standards which they should. And that's why we tend to look to these all sports person, media person, some celebrities in Bollywood, Hollywood, some politician as our role model. But what is the problem with all these role models? Actually, they are role model for that particular thing, but they are not role model how to live the life. And here comes the problem. If we follow these role models, then they may actually come in some advertisement where they will promote something which is injurious to health. Some will promote liquor, somebody will promote some gutka, pan masala. So what they are doing, actually they are not our role model. They can never be role model. If we follow some politician as role model, someday some scam will come and we will know that, oh, they were very corrupt. So what to do now? There is actually deficiency of all the role models. What and how we can find out our role models? If we follow the scriptures, any scripture will give us the role models. All the people who are being described in any of the world's scriptures, they are actually role models. The way they live their life is exemplary. Like we talk about Narad Muni, we talk about Prahlad Maharaj, a small kid, 5-year-old, and he is actually suffering all the atrocities done by his father just because he has faith in Lord. So they should be our role model. And one more question, as leaders of our family, society, we should ask ourselves, are we role model? Are we actually really following what we are preaching? We talked so much about idealism, ethics. Are we actually ethical and ideal? So we have to become role model. There is lack of people in society who can become role model, but we who are actually understanding the crux of that deficiency or scarcity, we are the one who should come forward and say that, yes, I want to become a role model. I want to become role model for at least my family. Now, can Lord Krishna become a role model? Then actually this question becomes a very difficult question, because Lord Krishna is doing so many activities which we are not able to understand. And then we think, and generally public perception is that, oh, how we can follow him, how he can be our role model. But Lord Krishna himself tells in 22nd to 24th shloka that, yes, I am also role model. Why I am role model? Because if I don't follow what I am preaching, then nobody will follow. So Lord is so sensitive about his preaching that he himself is following it. But then question arises, then why when he is in Gokul he is stealing butter? Stealing is not good. Or when he is doing Ras Leela with so many Gopikas, is it right way of doing things? So is he really our role model, or can we follow these activities? Then what we have to do? We have to understand that when Lord is living in Golok and Gokul, that is his home. He is very free and frolicking around. And actually, he's not stealing anything because everything belongs to him. Actually, we are stealing from him. He is not stealing. When we are taking anything without acknowledging Lord, actually we are stealing. And because everything belongs to him, so doing Ras Leela is also a moralist activity. But we should all remember that before Ras Leela, what he did, he lifted the Govardhan. So this we should remember. Many time people take lot of drugs and they name it in the name of that Shivji is also taking bhang and this and that. Actually, we should remember that Shivji also drinks poison. So why not follow first and drink some poison? And then if we are alive, then we can take the drugs. So what I am trying to say is actually when Lord is at his home, his behavior sometimes is very confusing, but it is out of love that he is working that way. But when he is in Dwarka, if you read Bhagavatam, you will understand that his actual conduct is perfect, like a perfect grahastha. So there is no discrepancy there. So what we should do, we should follow this aspect of Lord Krishna when he is following all the dharmas, and he is a very good role model for all of us. So that's why the difference between a yogi, a karmi, and a nishkam karmi, and a karmkandi, all the difference is just difference of intention. When your intention is to please Lord, then it is nishkam karma yoga. And when your intention is to please yourself, then you are a karmi. So this is very important that even a perfect person should perform his duties. We cannot say that I am above all the rules and regulation. Even Lord himself is following all the rules and regulation. But then question arises that many times I am attached to others' duties and I feel like that I should go and do their duty also because it is very actually tempting and they are in the limelight or they are earning more than what I am. So what should I do? Then Lord explains to Arjuna that yes, you want to become a renunciate, you want to do someone else's duty, but you should not do that because par dharmo bhayavaha. Par dharma is bhayavaha. Following someone else's duty is actually bhayava, dangerous. We should never think of doing it. So we should always do our prescribed duty. That is most important. So what Arjuna thinks that okay, yes, from today onward, because you explained to me, I will do all my duties properly in a Nishkam Karma Yogi way. But then Arjuna suddenly thinks that, oh, I have promised that, but I know that as per my past experiences that I fail so often. Many times it happens that actually I want to do something which is right, but I fail. I cannot control my mind. There are so many impediments and obstructions in performing my duty. Then what should I do? Why it happens that we fail? So this is the fifth part of today's chapter. The fifth part, what Lord is explaining, that why when we know everything that this is my prescribed duty, this is my karma, and this is how I should do it, and still I fail many times. Why I fail? And Lord says that why you fail? Because there is something inside you which is preventing you to do your duty. And what is that something which is preventing you? That something is lust. Lust, your attachment to the results. Actually, your attachment is preventing you to do your rightful duties. And this lust, how it works, there is a very graphic example about it. And that is a camel, if you see in desert, there are not many plants available. So, and he's feeling hungry. What he is doing? Actually, he starts chewing on the thorny bushes also. And all the thorns, they injure his tongue. And lot of bleeding happens. And when that blood comes in the mouth, he starts swallowing it and starts enjoying it, thinking that actually these thorns are very juicy. But actually, what is juicy is his own blood. So what is happening? He's thinking that tasty twig, what he's taking inside, is actually giving him pleasure, but pleasure is coming from his own destruction. So this is how lust works. So then Lord gives different type of comparisons that how this lust is covering everyone. Somebody is covered too much with lust, just like a embryo is covered in the womb. Somebody is covered somewhat less, just like a dust covers the mirror, and someone may be covered just very thinly, like a smoke covers the fire. But as a human being, we have this chance and opportunity to come out of this lust. So if we want to fight some enemy, we should know where it resides. So then Lord gives the location of this enemy. So what is this enemy? This enemy is lust. Where it resides? It resides in our body. And all places where it resides in our senses, it resides in our mind, it resides in our intelligence. So these are the three places where lust resides. So this is a Sankhya Yoga understanding of our body, that our body is made up of 5 gross elements and 3 subtle elements, the mind, intelligence, and false ego. And lust is where it is staying. Lust is staying in our mind, in our intelligence, and in all our senses. So if we want to remove lust and we want to do Nishkam Karma Yoga, we have to work on these 3 places. We have to work on our senses, we have to work on our intelligence, and we have to work on our mind. So these 3 places, how to work and how to purify these places, we need lot of knowledge about it. And this is what Lord Krishna will give in next chapter, when he will describe that how to control your mind, how to sharpen your intelligence with knowledge. This all he will be discussing in the next chapter. And when he discusses all this aspect of knowledge, then again he will come back to karma. And again he will clarify all the doubts of Arjuna, that okay, now you have knowledge, now you know that you have to work in this way. Now how to accomplish this he will be discussing in next chapter. So till now, what we have understood in second chapter, we already understood from 2.62 and 6.3 that all our fall down happens because of our false contemplation, that is dhyato vishayanapunsa. So that false contemplation leads to our fall down. So what we have to do? We have to somehow control this. And how to control this? Because lust is the reason by which all this thing is happening. We have to control our lust, but then we have to understand from where this lust is coming. Actually, this lust is coming from our search for happiness. We all want to be happy, and in this materialistic world, the best happiness we get is by fulfilling our desires. So when we try to fulfill our desires, what we do? Actually, we are becoming prey to the lust. So what we should do? We should try to curb this enemy. We should try to understand the origin of this enemy. So this lust is actually perverted reflection of what is true spiritual love. So true spiritual love, when it is pervertedly reflected, then it becomes lust. So in this world, what we found around ourselves is lust. When we connect to Lord, what we experience is love. So what we should do? We should try to understand this aspect of karma. This we'll be discussing in the next and after other sessions also. Just I want to give you a brief outline of what is happening to us. Actually, every time we are trying to follow our desires, we are doing some action which is not ethically or morally right. And when we are doing this type of action, there will be some manifest reaction to it, and we will suffer because of that. Suppose someone starts smoking, then he will suffer because of some illness. And this is a obvious suffering because of smoking or drinking. But also simultaneously, he is developing his psychological proclivity of doing that sinful activity. So once you start smoking, then again and again, and slowly you become a chain smoker, because this tendency keeps on repeating itself. So what we have to work on, the best way is to work here in avidya or ignorance. If we remove this ignorance, then all this cycle will not occur itself. Suppose somebody has that knowledge that smoking leads to cancer, then he will not smoke. So none of these things will occur. So this is what is role of knowledge. That's what Lord is going to explain to us in next chapter. So till now what we understood is there is a spiritual hierarchy. The first part of soul, what Lord explained in second chapter, and ego, intelligence, and mind, what Lord explained in this chapter. And Lord also told us how to control our lust. So what we have to do finally, if we follow Bhagavad Gita properly, all our lust, kam, krodh, lobh, moh, mad, matsar, they will convert into satya, dharma, prema, shanti, and ahimsa. But this will require a lot of efforts from our side. And many times we don't want to do that. Or many times we fail in doing it. So we all know that like a lotus flower is there, which is very beautiful looking, but it is in that all muddy pool, which is very much dirty. And it has lot of seeds also, which lead to fructification of many such lotus flowers. Same way, every time we do some activity, we are actually leading to formation of our next karmas, and then this cycle keeps on repeating. Now we have to understand how to do some activity that there is no reaction, and what we call as karma cycle. So every time what we do, whenever we do some karma, actually we are creating more karmas, and they keep on coming to us, and this karma cycle keeps on repeating, and we are stuck here in this wheel of karma. So what we have to do, we have to somehow learn that how we can actually destroy all our prarabdha karmas, because of which we get this body, and how we can act that we don't get any karma. And this is what is known as devotional activity. So when we do nishkam karma, what is happening? There are no reactions to it. So there is no sanchit karma, then there will be no prarabdha karma, and then we will be free from this place. So many times when we do some activity and we are not successful in those activity, we feel like that why and how I have failed. I did my 100%. Why I failed? Because actually shooting arrow is in your hand. Whether it will hit the bullseye depends on many other things, not only your prowess, but suppose there is a wind which starts blowing, then you will miss your target. There is gravity, then it will bring that arrow down. So these things are beyond our control. So many times when we are doing our activity, actually we are doing it under these constraints. And because we are doing it under constraints, so many times we are not successful. So we should not feel bad about it. So karma theory not only helps you to liberate yourself from here, what we understood in last slide, but also karma theory helps you to understand your failures also. Karma theory makes you more realistic in your approach. So many times people say that if I become a karmavadi, then somewhat I will actually either become a fruitive worker, or I will become very lazy. But both are not true. If you really understood the karma theory, then you will not become both of them. What you will understand is that actually I have to shoot my arrow, and there are many other factors which will decide whether I will hit the bullseye or not. So you will never become depressed. You know that, okay, I have to keep on shooting the arrows. And when even if you hit the bullseye, that day also you will not become puffed up, because you know that there were many other factors which contributed to my success. It was just not my doing. So both ways, karma theory is very realistic theory which can help us. So what is the take home message of today's session? Today's session take home message is karma is a law. It is not that uh, it is just a somebody's mental concoction, because just like gravitational force is a law, and if you drop something, it will fall to the ground. That is law. Law means it exists. Whether you believe it or not, it doesn't make any difference to that law. Same way, karma is a law. It exists. If we say that I don't believe in karma, it doesn't mean that karma will cease to exist. Karma will still act on you. Lust is the root cause of all other vices. If we control our lust, our anger will be controlled. All our confusion in the life will be controlled. But then how you can do it? Many people, they try to control lust by suppressing their senses. But what we should do? We should not suppress our senses. We should direct our senses. We can direct our senses in the Lord's service. And foremost, for all of us professionals, we should try to become good role models. Because if we become good role model, then people, next generation, they will look to us as role models and not to some hero or some sports person as role model whose their own personal life they are not following the rules and regulation. So somewhere we have to learn how to overcome lust. Now, in the starting of this chapter, what was Arjuna's confusion and question? That whether I should do my duty or I should renunciate. What Lord has given a solution? Lord is saying that you do your duty with renunciation. Means you have to do your duty also, but the mindset should be of a renunciate. So how we can do that? We have to engage our mind in some healthy thought and activity. For that, we can read Bhagavad Gita, we can take shelter of meditation, we can read more about the good role models which can inspire us, and that way we can actually develop our concept of how to understand this karma. Now, I know that this karma is still not very clear to all of you who are listening for the first time, but don't worry. In next and next chapter, Lord Krishna will make it very crystal clear to all of us. Because we are going chapter wise, there are many other themes which I wanted to include in this chapter, but because we are going chapter wise, I have not done that, so that as and when Lord Krishna explains that aspect, we will discuss it, so that we follow the flow and process of that particular chapter, and we don't breach that flow, so that we understand how Lord wants us to understand. So karma is, like we discussed in the initial slide, gahano karmana gati. To understand karma is not easy, and but it is very important, because if we don't understand karma, then whatever we have done till now in our life and whatever we will be doing in our life actually will only bind us to this place. But that is not our aim. If you are a real spiritualist, you want to actually move out of this place. You want to go to a place where there is no death. You want to go to a place where there is no suffering. So we will keep on doing our duties as prescribed by society and our choice, but we will also do it with spirit of renunciation. So this is the gist of third chapter. And if there are any queries, any questions, we can take up, or any comments, any corrections, any clarifications. Yes, madam.
हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी,
Hare
आपके
Krishna.
सबसे वीक स्टूडेंट हर बार आपसे क्वेश्चन करते हैं, सो
Yes,
सॉरी
madam.
अबाउट दैट।
No, yes, जी मैडम.
सर, एक थॉट हमेशा सबके मन में रहता है और हर प्रोफेशनल लगभग, मतलब जो अच्छे लोग हैं, भगवान की दया से हम सब अच्छे लोगों के साथ जुड़े हुए हैं, एंड दे यूज टू टेल वन थिंग दैट हम अपनी ड्यूटीज ईमानदारी से करें, वही हमारा स्पिरिचुअलिटी है, या वही हमारी पूजा है, या वही भगवान को प्राप्त करने का जरिया है। और थोड़ा थोड़ा अब इतना समझ में आने लगा है लेक्चर करके, अपनी ड्यूटी अच्छे से करना तो एक अच्छी बात है ही, बट स्पिरिचुअलिटी में अगर आप आगे बढ़ना चाहते हैं तो उसके साथ भगवान की सेवा, पूजा, निष्काम कर्म ये भी करना जरूरी है। बट हाउ टू एक्सप्लेन इट प्रॉपरली, ये एक सबका बहुत नॉर्मल क्वेश्चन रहता है कि हम अपनी ड्यूटीज अच्छे से करते हैं, ईमानदारी से करते हैं, तो ये यही पूजा है।
यस मैडम. एक्चुअली ये बहुत कॉमन कॉन्सेप्ट है इंडिया में कि कर्म ही पूजा है, और सबको यही लगता है कि हम अपना कर्म तो कर ही रहे हैं, तो अलग से कुछ और पूजा करने की या कुछ और प्रोसेस को फॉलो करने की या किसी और चीज के लिए सिंसियर होने की आवश्यकता क्या है। और यहीं से ये क्वेश्चन भी अराइज होता है कि जब ऐसा है ही नहीं तो फिर हमको कोई ऑर्गेनाइज रिलीजन की, कोई रिचुअल्स की जरूरत क्या है। हम केवल सिंपल स्पिरिचुअलिटी को फॉलो करके भी तो जीवन में हमको फील गुड होता है, तो हम उतना करते हैं, तो हम ईमानदार हैं, हम अच्छा कर रहे हैं। तो जैसा हमने आज सेशन में समझा कि अगर हम अच्छा करेंगे, वो स्पिरिचुअल लेवल पे उतना ही खराब है कि हम बुरा करेंगे। अब इसको हम समझते हैं कैसे। क्योंकि हम जब अच्छा भी करते हैं तो भी उसके अच्छे कर्म हमारे पास रिटर्न आएंगे, और उन अच्छे कर्मों को भोगने के लिए हमें धरती पे वापस आना ही पड़ेगा। और जैसा हमने आज की थीम में समझा कि हमारा एम यहाँ वापस आना है ही नहीं। जब हम वापस नहीं आना चाहते तो हमको क्या करना पड़ेगा? हमको कुछ ऐसा करना पड़ेगा कि मैं एक्शन करूं बट उसका कोई भी रिएक्शन मेरे ऊपर ना आए। क्योंकि जब गुड एक्शन का गुड रिएक्शन आएगा तो उस गुड रिएक्शन को भी एक्चुअली झेलने के लिए या चलने के लिए, समझने के लिए मुझे धरती पे तो वापस आना ही पड़ेगा। तो इसलिए पाप भी उतना ही खराब है जितना कि पुण्य खराब है। क्योंकि पाप से क्या होगा? आप नरक में जाके भोगोगे। पुण्य से क्या होगा? आप धरती पे या स्वर्ग में जाके भोगोगे। लेकिन दोनों तरह से आप भोग ही रहे हो, आप छूटे नहीं यहाँ से। और क्योंकि हमारा एम छूटना है, और प्रैक्टिकली हम सब अगर स्पिरिचुअलिटी को समझे, दुनिया को समझे, तो हम इस एम को लेकर चल रहे हैं। तो डेफिनेटली हम केवल कर्म करके यहाँ से छूट नहीं सकते, हमको निष्काम कर्म करना पड़ेगा। अब जब हमको निष्काम कर्म करना है तो अब वो क्या हो गया? निष्काम कर्म करने के लिए हमको नॉलेज चाहिए भगवान का, और उसके लिए हमको एक प्रॉपर अंडरस्टैंडिंग चाहिए जो भगवान भगवत गीता में हमको देते हैं। अन्यथा वो निष्काम कर्म निष्काम के लेवल पे नहीं होगा। हम सोचेंगे जरूर कि हमने निष्काम रूप से किया, लेकिन वो होगा नहीं। इसीलिए ये भारत में बहुत बड़ा कंफ्यूजन है कि एक तरफ लोग अगर कर्म को फॉलो करने की कोशिश करते हैं तो वो भाग्यवादी हो जाते हैं। उनको लगता है सब मेरे प्रारब्ध में लिखा है, वैसा ही होगा, तो मैं क्यों कुछ करूं। और एक दूसरा वाला एस्पेक्ट है लोगों का, जो वो कहते हैं कि सब मेरे हाथ में है, मैं अपने हाथ से अपना जो है वो भविष्य लिखता हूँ, मैं खुद से मैंने अपने आप को बनाया, मैंने किसी की सहायता नहीं ली। ये दोनों एक्सट्रीम अंडरस्टैंडिंग के गलत हैं। भाग्यवादी होना बिल्कुल गलत है, क्योंकि बहुत कुछ हमारे कर्मों पे डिपेंड करता है। कर्मवादी भी पूरा होना गलत है, क्योंकि बहुत सारी चीजें हमने उस एग्जाम्पल में सीखी। जब आर्चर एक तीर चला रहा है तो वो बहुत सारे बाकी फैक्टर भी हैं जो डिसाइड करते हैं कि वो बुल्सआई को हिट करेगा कि नहीं करेगा। तो इस तरह ना हम भाग्यवादी हो सकते हैं ना कर्मवादी हो सकते हैं। तो हमको क्या होना पड़ेगा? हमको बीच में एक बैलेंस अंडरस्टैंडिंग अपनी डेवलप करनी पड़ेगी। और वो बैलेंस अंडरस्टैंडिंग क्या है? वो बैलेंस अंडरस्टैंडिंग को मैं आपको एक सेंटेंस में बताता हूँ, उसको आप लाइफ के लिए याद रख सकते हैं। और वो बैलेंस अंडरस्टैंडिंग ये है कि जब हम कर्म करें तब ये सोचें कि सब कुछ मेरे ऊपर निर्भर करता है। अगर मैं कर्म नहीं करूंगा तो ये काम नहीं होगा। लेकिन जब फल आने वाला हो उसका, तो ये सोचें कि सब कुछ भगवान पे निर्भर करता है, मुझ पे कुछ भी निर्भर नहीं करता। तो इस तरह हमने क्या किया, कर्म के समय हमारा मोटिवेशन भी बना रहा, जील भी बनी रही, हमने ईमानदारी से भी किया, और बिल्कुल वैसा ही किया जैसे कोई कर्म ही करता है। लेकिन हम अटैच नहीं हुए उससे, क्योंकि जब रिजल्ट आया तो अच्छा भी आया तो भी हमने बोला भगवान आपकी कृपा है, और नहीं आया तो भी बोला भगवान ठीक है, आपकी जो इच्छा हो। तो this is the fine balance. If we one time develop this proper perspective about doing things, then it becomes very easy. बार बार हमको फिर बैठ के ये सोचना नहीं कि मैं किसके लिए कर रहा हूँ, मैंने आज किसके लिए किया। नहीं, सिंपल सी बात है, वॉट एवर आई एम गेनिंग थ्रू इट, आई एम गेनिंग बिकॉज ऑफ माई पास्ट प्रारब्ध, and because of Lord's sanction, that we will further explore in fourth and fifth chapter. Then we will again come to this point. I think things are bit clear now.
जी प्रभु जी।
जी।
प्रभु
जी।
जी, एक चीज और, एक आपने बहुत अच्छी स्लाइड दिखाई थी, हाउ टू स्पिरिचुअलाइज एंगर,
यस
पर
यस।
आपने उसके ऊपर कुछ बोला नहीं।
बोला नहीं,
प्रभु
इसलिए
जी,
नहीं
मुझे
बोला
बहुत
कि
गुस्सा आता
आई
है, मेरे
आई
गुस्से को
वॉज
कैसे शांत करूं, बताओ आप
यस।
कुछ।
बोला इसलिए नहीं क्योंकि there are many many things, actually these are just few slides which we are sharing. This chapter is in itself very big chapter, and actually अगर हम ऐसे लेना चाहें तो बहुत कुछ है। उस स्लाइड को मैंने पर्पसफुली रखा भी और बोला भी नहीं, बिकॉज आई वांटेड कि इफ somebody has query then we will discuss. See, we discussed in second chapter that ध्यायतो विषयान पुंसा संगत शेष उपजायते संगात संग जायते कामा कामात क्रोधो भी जायते। तो क्रोध कहाँ से आता है? क्रोध आता है जब हमारी कामनाओं की इच्छाओं की पूर्ति नहीं होती। जब कामनाओं या इच्छाओं की पूर्ति होती है तो उससे क्या आता है? उससे हमारा लोभ आता है। तो कामनाओं को क्यों भगवान ने यहाँ पे पर्पसफुली बोला और क्रोध के बारे में क्यों नहीं बोला? क्योंकि क्रोध को बोला जाता है उपकाम, अनुज है वो काम का, मतलब छोटा भाई है। कामना के साथ क्रोध साथ साथ लगा ही रहता है, हमेशा ही लगा रहेगा। तो जब जब इच्छा हमारी पूर्ति नहीं होगी तो क्रोध आएगा। कभी हमारे ऊपर आएगा, कभी सिस्टम के ऊपर आएगा, कभी किसी पर्टिकुलर व्यक्ति के ऊपर आएगा, कभी परिस्थिति के ऊपर आएगा, कभी हमारे जन्म के ऊपर आएगा, कभी देश के ऊपर आएगा, लेकिन क्रोध जरूर आएगा। और जब कामना की पूर्ति हो जाएगी तो हमें लोभ आएगा कि इतना ही क्यों मिला, और मिलता तो अच्छा रहता, अगली बार फिर से मिलेगा कि नहीं मिलेगा। तो ये दोनों तरफ हम जो है बंधे हुए हैं। क्रोध भी हमको बांध रहा है और कामना भी बांध रही है। एक्चुअली क्रोध कुछ नहीं है, परवर्टेड रूप है कामना का, या परवर्टेड रूप है हमारे मद का, मात्सर्य का। और यही कंफ्यूजन हमको बढ़ाता है। अब हाउ टू स्पिरिचुअलाइज अवर एंगर, तो स्लाइड में मैंने एक फोटो रखा था हनुमान जी का। हनुमान जी बहुत बड़े पर्सोनिफिकेशन इस बात की कि कैसे क्रोध को भगवान की सेवा में लगाया जाता है। तो उनको भी क्रोध आता है, लेकिन उस क्रोध को क्या करते हैं, वो भगवान की सेवा में लगा देते हैं। तो जब वो रावण के सभा में जाते हैं और उनका अपमान होता है तो वो उसे राम जी का अपमान मान के लेते हैं, और जब उनकी पूंछ में आग लगाई जाती है तो वो ये नहीं करते कि अपनी पूंछ बुझाने के लिए भागते हैं। वो सोचते हैं कि अब इस क्रोध को मैं भगवान की सेवा में कैसे लगाऊं, तो वो पूरी लंका को जला देते हैं। और जब वो पूरी लंका को जला देते हैं तब वो भागे भागे जाते हैं और सीता माता को देखते हैं कि वो तो नहीं जल गई। क्योंकि क्रोध का ये एस्पेक्ट बहुत खराब है कि क्रोध आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल बहुत जल्दी हो जाता है। काम भी आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल होता है, लेकिन काम का आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल फिर भी सोसाइटी के नॉर्म्स के कारण हो नहीं पाता। लेकिन क्रोध आउट ऑफ कंट्रोल बहुत जल्दी होता है, और कभी कभी उस फिट ऑफ रेज में कोई कुछ भी कर सकता है। जैसे मैंने अभी कुछ समय पहले इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज में एक लेक्चर ले रहा था माइंड कंट्रोल पे, तो मैंने एक उदाहरण दिया उन लोगों को कि नेपाल की जो राज सत्ता है वो एक दिन में समाप्त हो गई थी, क्योंकि वहां पे जो राजकुमार थे उनको किसी से प्रेम था और वो राजा नहीं चाहते थे उनसे शादी हो। तो वो सब डाइनिंग टेबल पे बैठा हुआ था पूरा परिवार, और इस बात पे डिस्कशन चल रहा था। वो राजकुमार उठे, अंदर गए। नॉर्मल प्रोसेस में क्या करता व्यक्ति, अपने आप को गोली मार लेता, लेकिन उनके पास जो पिस्टल थी वो लेके बाए, और उन्होंने एक तरफ से सबको जो है वो गोली मार दी, और फिर स्वयं भी कनपट्टी पे गोली चलाई और वो भी मर गए। एक कुछ मिनटों में उनका पूरा राज परिवार एक व्यक्ति के क्रोध के कारण समाप्त हो गया। और ऐसा ये कोई एक उदाहरण नहीं है, आप किसी भी दिन का अखबार उठाइए और थर्ड फोर्थ पेज पढ़िए अखबारों के, तो आपको एक या दो एग्जाम्पल रोज मुझे दिखाई दे जाते हैं कि ये देखो क्रोध के कारण एक परिवार नष्ट हो गया, एक व्यक्ति नष्ट हो गया, किसी को मार दिया। आप मेडिकल कॉलेज की कैजुअलिटी में रात को बैठिए, आपको क्रोध के बहुत सारे मिसयूज एग्जाम्पल दिख जाएंगे। तो हमको क्या करना है, हम कैसे अब इस क्रोध को भगवान की सेवा में लगाएं? तो उसको रूप गोस्वामी समझाते हैं। रूप गोस्वामी कहते हैं कि हम अपने क्रोध को भगवान की सेवा में कैसे लगा सकते हैं। हम उन लोगों पे क्रोध करें जो भगवान के अगेंस्ट हैं। हम उन लोगों पे क्रोध करें जो भगवान के भक्तों के अगेंस्ट हैं। हम उन लोगों पे क्रोध करें जो व्यर्थ में भगवान के ऊपर लांछन लगाते हैं। तो ये क्या हुआ, क्रोध का सही यूज हो गया। तो क्रोध आने की हमारी टेंडेंसी है तो हम वहां पे उसको यूज करें, ना कि हम क्रोध करें अपने ऊपर। क्योंकि सबसे ज्यादा जो मैं देखता हूँ वो है व्यक्ति जब खुद पे क्रोध करता रहता है और खुद अंदर ही अंदर डिप्रेस होता रहता है। वो दिखता भी नहीं है बाहर, लेकिन वो खुद पे क्रोध करना सबसे खराब है। तो वी शुड ट्राई टू कंट्रोल दिस बाय डायरेक्टिंग इट, लाइक वी डिस्कस टुडे इटसेल्फ कि हमको अपने सेंसेस को डायरेक्ट करना है भगवान की सेवा में। तो सेंसेस का सही स्वामी कौन है, भगवान है। तो हमको क्या करना है, ऋषिकेश एक भगवान का नाम है। ऋषिकेश का अर्थ होता है सेंसेस के ईश, स्वामी। तो ऋषि मतलब हमारे सेंसेस। तो क्या करना है, हमारे सेंसेस को हमको भगवान की सेवा में लगाना है। जब सेंसेस भगवान की सेवा में लगेंगे तो जो क्रोध है वो भी भगवान की सेवा करेगा, फिर वो और कहीं क्रोध नहीं आएगा। तो जैसे हम ये सोच लें कि हमको निष्काम कर्म करना है, जब कामना ही नहीं रही तो कामना की पूर्ति या नहीं होने का सवाल ही नहीं उठता, तो ना हमें क्रोध आएगा, ना हम जो है वो कहीं ना कहीं लोभ में पड़ेंगे। तो आई थिंक दिस इज द बेटर वे ऑफ मैनेजिंग इट। Sometime in a level of management, maybe you have to show your anger because people don't listen without that. That is all justified. That from heart you should feel and aspire good for others. That is most important. I think, is it clear? Yes. Okay. So one aspect which there was one question that what should we do, spiritual बनना चाहिए कि religionist बनना चाहिए? Actually ये जो डाइकोटॉमी है कि हम स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट बने कि रिलीजियनिस्ट बने, ये डाइकोटॉमी बहुत सुपरफिशियल लेवल पे है। जब हम डेप्थ में जाते हैं, समझते हैं, चाहे हम रिलीजन की डेप्थ में चले जाएं तो हम स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट बन जाएंगे, चाहे हम स्पिरिचुअलिटी के डेप्थ में चले जाएं तो हम रिलीजियसनेस बन जाएंगे। तो कई बार क्या हुआ, क्योंकि हमारी इसके पहले वाली जनरेशन को ही कॉन्सेप्ट क्लियर नहीं थे, तो हमने देखा उनको दिया जलाते हुए, अगरबत्ती घुमाते हुए, और जब हमने बचपन में उनसे पूछा कि ये ऐसे ही क्यों घुमाना है, इतनी बार क्यों घुमाना है, तो उन्होंने हमको बताया कि आपके दादाजी भी ऐसे करते थे और उनके दादाजी भी ऐसे करते थे, इसलिए आप भी ऐसे ही करो। अब हम थे लॉजिकल माइंडेड, तो हमने बोला हम क्यों करें ऐसा, या तो हमको साइंटिफिक कोई थॉट दो इसके पीछे, या हम नहीं करेंगे। तो यहाँ से ये जो है डिफरेंस चालू हुआ। हमको लगा कि ये रिचुअल्स जो हैं ये वेस्टेज ऑफ टाइम है, और इन रिचुअल्स की, डीटी वर्शिप की, मंदिरों की या कॉन्ग्रीगेशंस की हमें ज़रूरत नहीं। हम तो इंडिविजुअली इतने इंटेलिजेंट हैं कि हम अकेले ही सस्टेन कर सकते हैं भक्ति में। एक्चुअली यहाँ से हमको ये समझ डेवलप हुई कि हम तो केवल स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट बनेंगे। ये एक बहुत बड़ा एक्चुअली मूवमेंट है वेस्ट में, क्योंकि वेस्ट में क्रिश्चियनिटी में ये चीज़ बहुत ऊपरी तौर पे उभर के आई, क्योंकि वेस्ट में उन्होंने देखा क्लर्जी में करप्शन है बहुत, जैसा इंडिया में भी है, हर फील्ड में है। तो कुछ लोग अच्छे नहीं है तो लोग वहाँ चर्च से दूर होते गए, बट उनको कुछ तो चाहिए था जीवन में, तो उन्होंने क्या चीज को पकड़ा, स्पिरिचुअलिटी बोला उसको। लेकिन अगर आप सच में स्पिरिट को समझते हो, सच में स्पिरिचुअलिटी को समझते हो, तो आप ये भी समझते हो कि कोई ना कोई आपको प्रोसेस लगेगी उस चीज को एक्सपीरियंस करने के लिए, और वो प्रोसेस आपको एक ग्रुप में ही मिल सकती है। जैसे किसी को डॉक्टर बनना है तो उसको मेडिकल कॉलेज में एडमिशन लेना पड़ेगा, उसको सारी किताबें, सारे वीडियोस मिल जाएं, लेकिन वो कमरे में बैठ के डॉक्टर नहीं बन सकता। ऐसे ही जब आप भक्तों के संग में जाओगे तब आपका ईगो खत्म होगा। कैसे ईगो खत्म होगा? क्योंकि भक्त बार बार आपके ईगो पे चोट करेंगे, तब तो ईगो खत्म होगा। कमरे में बैठ के तो सबको लगता है कि मैं बहुत बड़ा स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट हूँ। जब आपको 20 लोगों को साथ में लेके चलना हो और कोई प्रोजेक्ट कंप्लीट करना हो, तब आपको समझ में आता है कि आपका ईगो कितना है। तब आपको लगता है अरे ये इसने उठ के मुझे नमस्ते नहीं किया, इसने मुझे एक्नॉलेज नहीं किया, इतने में ही आप 4 दिन के लिए डिस्टर्ब हो जाते हो। तो ये ईगो कैसे खत्म होगा? ये ईगो खत्म होगा जब हम ग्रुप में रहेंगे, जब हम साथ में सेवा करने का प्रयास करेंगे। इसलिए सारी स्पिरिचुअल ट्रेडिशंस में देयर इज कॉन्सेप्ट ऑफ संघ। बुद्धिज्म में आप देखो तो संघ होते हैं, हमारे यहाँ पे साधु लोग संघ में रहते हैं, क्रिश्चियनिटी में संघ होता है, मुस्लिम्स में संघ होता है। क्यों होता है? क्योंकि जब आप ग्रुप में रहोगे तब आपकी रियलिटी अंदर से निकल के बाहर आती है। अकेले तो हर कोई जो है वो बहुत महान योगी है और सबको लगता है कि हिमालय पे ही बैठे हैं हम, लेकिन जब साथ में जाएंगे तो जब टसल्स होंगी, प्रॉब्लम्स आएंगी, इश्यूज आएंगे, तब आप कैसे बिहेव करते हो, दैट इज द रियल टेस्ट। इसीलिए जरूरी है कि हम दोनों का बैलेंस करें। हम अंदर से स्पिरिचुअलिस्ट रहें, लेकिन बाहर से हम एक प्रोसेस को भी फॉलो करें जो हमको अपील करती हो। आई एम नॉट सेइंग कि यू फॉलो सम पर्टिकुलर religion, some particular organization. I never say that. I never say it to anyone, because I believe that whenever you try to organize one religion, there will be lot of corruption which will inevitably happen, because वो ऑर्गेनाइज जब भी कोई चीज होगी तो कुछ लोग आएंगे जो उसका गलत फायदा उठाएंगे। बट जैसे कुछ डॉक्टर्स में भी करप्ट होते हैं, कुछ पॉलिटिशियंस में भी अच्छे होते हैं लोग, कुछ पुलिस वाले भी अच्छे होते हैं, ऐसे ही रिलीजन में भी कुछ लोग अच्छे भी होते हैं। ट्राई टू फाइंड दोज गुड पीपल एंड गेट देयर एसोसिएशन, दैट इज ओनली वे आउट। हम ये सोचें कि करप्शन है इसलिए हम किसी के साथ एसोसिएट नहीं होंगे, तो हमारी ग्रोथ भी कैसे होगी? तो दिस इज हाउ, जैसे कोई फेक मेडिकल कॉलेज या इंजीनियरिंग कॉलेज भी हो सकते हैं, लेकिन वो फेक है मतलब कहीं रियल भी है। ऐसे कोई फेक गुरु है तो कोई रियल गुरु भी है। तो हमारा एक्सपीरियंस कोई एक पर्टिकुलर ऑर्गेनाइजेशन मंदिर के लिए अच्छा नहीं रहा है कि भीड़ भाड़ धक्का मुक्की, कोई कुछ नहीं सिखा रहा है, लेकिन हो सकता है फिर कोई एक ऐसा मंदिर भी हो जहाँ कुछ बात भी होती हो स्पिरिचुअलिटी की। तो समवेयर वी हैव टू फाइंड आउट दैट फाइन बैलेंस, both are important. Following some ritual give us sense of discipline, and following spirituality gives the sense of fulfillment. We want discipline also and fulfillment also. So I think madam has asked that question. This is my point of view. I am not saying that I am the perfect person to share with you all, but this is what I have taken from that topic. Is there any other question, or should we call it a day? So now I request you all that 3.21 is the shloka which we should try to recite and actually remember in this chapter. And that shloka is about the role models. So we all should consciously try to become good role models for at least our family. And let's see in next chapter what Lord will tell us next week. Till then, thank you so much to everyone. वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।